and again, I'm going to make sure I'm going to adjust this word right here. This shouldn't be best. This should be another good result for SDSU, and conference realignment is more PhDs. What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master of Football, back at it again. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date on all things EA college football and watch plenty of college football content, subscribe to this channel right now. I also do plenty of pro and Madden videos as well. Hit that red subscribe button, please. It's not going to cost you a thing. All it's going to cost you is being up to date on everything EA college football, plenty of college football content, and like I said, pro, basically anything related to football. Subscribe to this channel right now. But without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys, so I had a rather, I don't want to say clickbait, but clickbait-ish video yesterday where there was the next move in conference realignment. It looks like it's going to be Conference USA. Conference USA was the one that got absolutely pillaged last year and this next offseason too. They lost a ton of members. They went down to 5. They added 4. Then they're adding 1 more, Kennesaw State, outside of Atlanta, Georgia. So they're going to integrate pretty nicely with that conference. But we have some bigger conference news because we know that with USC and UCLA heading over to the Big Ten, the Pac-12, they're kind of in a situation where we don't really know what's going to happen there. The Big 12 is kind of looking at the Pac-12 like, ooh, if you guys lose a little bit more, maybe we'll take your remainders. There's lots of things like that could happen. We have some recent news from the Big 12 because, like I said, Brett Yormark and George Kliavkoff, they are not the best of friends, is what we're going to say. And it looks like Brett Yormark is putting some pressure on George Kliavkoff because we got some developments right now in their TV deal. Let's check them out. So right here on ESPN.com, the Big 12 Commish explores early rights deal with ESPN and Fox from the Associated Press. So Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark described recent discussions with television partners ESPN and Fox as meaningful, as the conference looks into the possibility of striking a media rights deal almost 2 years before the current contract expires. So the conference, the Big 12, is not a free agent. I can't go out there and talk to Amazon or Apple or CBS, but in a world that's changing, why don't we explore an early conversation which could maybe lead to a negotiation? And I can tell you what, we've had meaningful conversations for the last 3+ weeks, and we'll see where they go. So I think what they're going to talk about here is the fact that the Big 12, which originally the conference negotiation periods went, it was the Big 10 first, then the Pac-12, then the Big 12. Well, once we saw that USC and UCLA were plucked from the Big 10, from the Pac-12 to the Big 10, then we see the fact that, kind of the Pac-12 is in a little bit of a hurt situation, but they had the next conference renegotiation period up. So that kind of gave them a leg up. We're actually going to talk about that leg and kind of how it was eliminated. The reason why it was eliminated was because the Big 12 moved their negotiation window up here to make it even with the Pac-12, so that they're discussing at the same time. So at the same time, the Pac-12 is going to the media rights, entities, and they're like, what would you want? What would you like from this group out there? What would you want to add? The Big 12 is doing the same thing. Like, what would you want to add if you wanted to add a couple of Pac-12 teams? Something like that. Now, ultimately, remember here, there's a couple of videos recently that said that the Pac-12 is not going to get as much money as the Big 12. It was not $40 million less. It was like, maybe 5 to 10, maybe 15, something like that. But it's not a considerable enough amount to overcome the travel costs and this and that, because the Pac-12 is actually really well integrated with each other. But again, if the Big 12 fans get, $5 million more, they're going to let the Pac-12 fans know about it, and vice versa. But let's continue on with this article here. So it says the Big 12 announced late in August it planned to engage ESPN and Fox. Remember, their exclusive negotiation window. He had mentioned that they're not able to negotiate with Amazon or anybody like that. They have still that exclusive window because basically when you sign a contract with somebody, you want to make sure, hey, if this contract's about to expire and you want to go to market, give us first shot to negotiate to make sure that we can hash things out, just as kind of like a attaboy for the fact that you've done business with us and we've done business with you. They're moving that window up, basically to put a little bit of pressure on the Pac-12. I also mentioned here the fact that Cincinnati, BYU, Houston, and UCF next year are going to be joining, along with Texas and Oklahoma. So remember, that's going to be the 2023 and 2024 seasons. 2025, Texas and OU to the SEC. So 14 teams. That's going to be an interesting one here. And a factor to remember going down into the future is they're going to have 14, it says for at least one season. Yeah, we'll see what that means there. But it says right here, there's going to be 14 teams of content to be around, and then it's going back down to 12. So depending upon what happens with the media members, are they going to like the fact they're going to have 2 less teams? That's, what is that? That's potentially 9 less full games. They'll have to see whether or not they want to expand or not, because I know that's a discussion too, whether or not they're going to take, the Big 12 is going to add some Pac-12 teams, some American teams, some Mountain West teams, some independent teams. It's kind of up in the air right now. And you see the fact George Kliavkoff, without a doubt here, Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff has said his conference being next in line for a new media rights deal with the Big Ten's $7 billion mega deal with 3 networks was an advantage the Pac-12 had over the Big 12. Brett Yormark, a savvy veteran of the business world, moves his negotiation window up to void out that situation here. But ultimately, man, I think, we'll get back to that in a second here, because we also have to talk about what happened with Kevin Warren recently in an Athletic article and his interview. This is from Desiree.com, and I think this is a article out there in Utah. So is the Big Ten looking to add more teams? Here are the commissioner's latest comments. Comes down here from Kelsey Dallas. Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren has a busy few years ahead as he and other conference leaders look to integrate USC and UCLA, manage new media relationships, and prepare for the expansion of the college football playoff. That second one he is going to reference later on in here. And I think it's a strong indication as to the fact that I don't think they're necessarily ready for more members. And if they were, they would have done it right away. That doesn't leave him much time to convince even more teams to join the Big Ten, as Kevin Warren told The Athletic this week. He said he hasn't totally pushed pause on potential new additions, but that he's focusing most of his energy on other projects. I'm always mindful of what's going on at different conferences in different markets and what's happening, but right now we've got to make sure we take care of business. After the news broke at the end of June, and USC and UCLA were leaving the Pac-12 for the Big Ten, the growing conference has repeatedly linked to other Pac-12 schools in an effort to create kind of a West Wing to make sure that USC and UCLA weren't necessarily just traveling constantly across the country. Although LAX it has direct flights to most people in the Big Ten, so it's not going to be a big deal. But also expressed interest in Oregon and Washington, and they've basically come out and said that Notre Dame has an open invite whenever they want to. In fact, there was rumors that they wanted Notre Dame and Stanford, as Stanford was like a Bay Area representation, but also kind of like, hey, Notre Dame, look at this, Notre Dame, come on. We'll see if they actually take the bait there. He did say with Bryant Gumbel that he could see the conference expanding to 20 teams. But again, like he said, he didn't walk back those comments, but he says factors like media rights deals make further expansion more complicated than many fans realize. That's one reason why I just want to make sure we stay strong and fortified in the Big Ten Conference to be prepared if a unique opportunity or opportunities arise for us, that it makes sense for our family, our member institutions, that we're in a position to do it. So in short, he said that other Big Ten leaders will stay focused on working out the issues that are already on their plate, like how to incorporate West Coast trips already onto the jam-packed travel schedules. We're analyzing what makes sense. He said, we've got to be smart. So he's being smart. He's being very cautious. But again, it used to be gung-ho. It's like, oh yeah, they're going to add them. They're going to add this. We haven't really heard very much in terms of the big conference realignment. With the big conference meeting, SEC looks like they're kind of set for right now. The ACC is locked into a deal. The Big Ten has basically got the 2 teams that they wanted. LA is a pretty easy transition for a lot of Big Ten teams. The Pac-12 and the Big 12 seem to be the next war, and I've covered that in many videos before. But, I mean, you see the fact that Brett Yormark, he's pretty aggressive. He was the former, executive with the Nets. He's very, very instrumental in a lot of big moves there. He's very, very forward-thinking, a lot of stuff with NASCAR. He's a really, really smart mind. He's going up against George Kliavkoff, who's been kind of quiet recently. So if you Google George Kliavkoff, we see her Athletic article from 3 weeks ago. No one's going anywhere on the conference's future. We see, there's a couple one. The most recent one was he has significant concerns over UCLA's move to the Big Ten. I think he was just poking the finger at the fact that it's a public institution. They have to go through public entities. There's more strings attached with that as opposed to USC, which is a private institution. They can kind of do what they want. That's why he said UCLA versus USC. I think they both can use LAX. I don't see a big issue there. But he's been really, really quiet, and I'm starting to think the fact that I think something might happen pretty quick here. I made a video, and I honestly believe that both the Big 12 and the Pac-12, whatever they do, they're both conference members. The current members aren't going to be satisfied, because what they really want is the Pac-12 wants to be like, oh, well, we don't want any of the Big 12. And the Big 12 members are like, oh, well, we're going to be able to take any Pac-12 member because you guys are about to collapse anyway. There's a little bit of pompousness on both sides. And I'm telling you right now, what I think is going to happen is the Pac-12, I do think they're going to move forward with adding some teams. It's probably going to be a G5 team. It's probably going to be a G5 team out west. at least one, just because right now they're at 10. If they get to 11, there's a couple things you can do with 11. 12 would be a nice even number. I know the fact that, again, there's one team out there that looks like they're most ready, and they're most ready in multiple different ways. So this article from East Village Times, it says the best result for SDSU in conference realignment, more PhDs. And again, I'm going to make sure I'm going to adjust this word here. This shouldn't be best. This should be another good result for SDSU in conference realignment is more PhDs. At the end of the day, and I talked to Tony Altmore about this, when you move up to a bigger conference, literally everything gets better. The money, the associations, the grants, the this and that, all of it goes up, the prestige, everything like that. But you come down here and see this article. First of all, Snapdragon Stadium is a beautiful new stadium. And I know a lot of people are going to pay attention to the results on the field right now. But I mean, I know San Diego State kind of having an issue with offense. They did beat Hawaii, which, it's Hawaii. But remember the fact that, they're transitioning some things. Brady Hope, we'll see what he can do without Rocky Long as his defensive coordinator. But again, they're investing in the football program. They're the only team in Southern California that's not, with a Power 5 program. That's not the only available team for the Pac-12 to add, per se. You could maybe see UNLV. You could maybe see Fresno or San Jose State or something like that. But San Diego State is the prettiest girl of the bunch. They're investing in their football program. And it says right here, by 2024, the landscape of college athletics will be changed by the realignment decisions in 2022. Many are predicting San Diego State will be the greatest beneficiary of USC and UCLA's decision to move to the Big Ten. Experts suggest the Aztecs are first in line to be invited to either the Pac-12 or Big 12. I don't know about the Big 12 per se, but I do know that maybe, the Pac-12 for sure, but the Big 12, if they were part of a group, because the Big 12 by themselves, it would be a little bit of a goofy ad. They probably still could if they really wanted to, but I think it would be, it would be a package deal of some sort in my estimation. However, I think it could be an isolation deal with the Pac-12. While SDSU's growth in its conference is undeniable, a move in a more lucrative one would give the school a chance to continue its upward trajectory. As important as the larger budgets are to athletic department, money is not the most important outcome of conference realignment for a university. So a big thing here that's going to talk about here is SDSU needs to work closer with the schools in California because the law prevents a university, San Diego State, from offering independent doctoral programs in most areas. With some notable exceptions, only by participating with a UC school or an in-state private institution can a Cal State University, university offer the highest level of education to its students. It can take months or even years to get a doctoral program running. Even if a CSU gathers the required expertise to offer one, there is the additional hurdle of finding a partner institution. The prestige that comes with playing in bowls, the opportunity for faculty to mix informally at games, that's a huge one. The reason why, this is so funny, the reason why it takes forever for colleges to, schedule out their games, they schedule them out 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years at a time, is because usually what happens is one AD's hanging out with the other AD, hey, dude, let's play. Yeah, well, we should play. Well, it'll be a couple years from now. All right, cool. Let's do a series, 4 years. All right, cool, man, thanks. That's how they kind of do that. You're going to have those conversations about programs, about, conference affiliations. They're going to have that with, non-conference games, lots of things like that. That's how it kind of works. So the fact that SDSU could be more in line with that from not only the CSU and the doctoral program perspective, but also the football side of things. SDSU is sitting there and they're waiting and they're hoping they get the good news. I do think they will because I don't think the Pac-12 can pull from the Big 12 and the Big 12 can pull from the Pac-12. So that's your update right now. And again, there's significant movement in terms of the Big 12 and their media rights deals, but again, it's still with, Fox and ESPN. So we'll see what ultimately results from that. My guess is I think San Diego State's going to get a call pretty quick here. They're investing in their program. They're the only team out there. Whether or not it's going to be to the Pac-12 or the Big 12, I don't know. If it's to the Big 12, I wouldn't be surprised if they brought in UNLV, maybe a Boise State that's close to BYU, something like that, kind of a pair out there. If it's to the Pac-12, I wouldn't be surprised if they thought UNLV too. I don't think, other than if I was the Pac-12, the only program I would want probably would be Kansas. And I know that Kansas has football success now, and I hope they're doing well. But I don't think they're going to leave, and I don't know whether or not they have the football investment beyond this year to justify that long-term move. And also, at the end of the day, dude, I mean, whatever deal the Pac-12 is going to sign is going to be like 5 to 7 years. It's not going to be a super, super long deal because if the Big Ten gets hungry, then the Big Ten is going to get hungry, and the Pac-12 is going to be short of a few teams. All right, guys, that's the most recent update I got. Remember, get in the comments right now. Anything you want to talk about, let me know. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. If you guys are watching this, I am probably on surgery right now, so wish me luck. But beyond that, guys, I'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, I'll be not on. I won't be all drugged up. I'm gonna watch football this weekend. Boise State and the Raiders do not play, so I got nothing to do but relax, sit back, and watch football. But I'll be engaging with you guys, getting those comments, like it, share it, everything like that. I'll see you then.